Have you ever wondered what would happen if you dived into a pool full of spent nuclear fuel? The answer may surprise you and maybe even relieve you. But before you find out, don't leave, because this video will blow your mind with facts you never imagined about radiation, nuclear safety, and the limits of the human body. Stay until the end because we have an unbelievable revelation. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos full of scientific curiosities that will challenge everything you thought you knew. Have you ever stopped to think about what would happen if someone jumped into a nuclear fuel storage pool? Would the radiation kill them instantly, or could the danger actually lie elsewhere? The question came from Henry, a curious viewer, and the answer is much more fascinating and less deadly than you might imagine. Let's start with the basics. Spent nuclear fuel is extremely radioactive, but it's also stored in deep pools filled with water for a very specific reason. The water not only cools the material, but also acts as a barrier against radiation. And here's the secret. For every 7 centimeters of water, the radiation intensity drops by half. This means that just 2 meters away from the fuel rods, the radiation is already 1/1000th of what it would be if you were right next to them. Now imagine you're swimming on the surface of this pool. How long could you stay there before suffering serious damage? The answer may surprise you, between 10 and 40 hours. But don't worry, this doesn't mean the radiation is harmless. In fact, the biggest risk wouldn't even be radioactive exposure, but rather extreme exhaustion. Yes, you'd probably pass out from exhaustion and drown before the radiation killed you. And this even applies to a regular pool. But wait, Henry didn't ask about regular pools. He wants to know about the real danger of radiation. So, let's dive in. No pun intended. Nuclear fuel is hot, but not as hot as you think. The water in these pools can reach 50 degrees Celsius in theory, but in practice, it's between 25 degrees and 35 degrees Celsius, hotter than a regular swimming pool, but colder than a hot tub. In other words, you won't boil, but you won't freeze either. The real danger is at the bottom of the pool. If you decided to dive down to the fuel rods, then things would get serious. Touching a rod freshly removed from the reactor could be fatal within minutes. But if you stay on the surface, the radiation would be so low that in theory, you would receive less radiation than walking down the street. This is because the water blocks some of the natural cosmic radiation that reaches us every day. But what if the water is contaminated? Here's an important detail. If there are leaks in the fuel rods, some radioactive elements could leak into the water. The plants monitor this rigorously, but even so, this water isn't exactly potable. Jokes aside, you shouldn't drink it unless you want to turn into a superhero or villain movie character. Real divers have done it. Proof that these pools aren't as deadly as they seem? Professional divers regularly maintain them. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. In 2011, a diver in Switzerland nearly died after finding a piece of highly radioactive pipe at the bottom of the pool. When he picked it up, alarms went off and the radiation levels in his right hand became dangerously high. If he had placed the object near his body, he could have died. In other words, the real danger isn't the water itself, but what might be hidden in it. What if you tried to swim in a reactor pool? Here's a macabre fact. A scientist at a reactor research said that you would die before even touching the water, but not from the radiation. At many nuclear facilities, attempting to enter the area would result in a bullet before you even got near the pool. In other words, radiation might not be your biggest problem. Conclusion. Swimming in a pool of nuclear fuel isn't as deadly as it seems, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. If you like this video and want more amazing content like this, leave a like, comment on the craziest experiment you'd dare to try, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Science is full of mysteries, and we're here to unravel them together. Until the next video, and remember, don't swim in radioactive pools.